Hello guys, in this video we will learn about observers. Observers are a critical part of Magento to extend the application and also to make an awesome features in the front end and in back end alike. So what we are going to do here is create an observer and then log every time you navigate the website. When you navigate from page to page, you will just log the whatever from the page, but we just use a dummy text to log into the log file. So far what we've done is we created the module and then we have a logger, but it does nothing as of yet, but we will make it do some of the work. In the first place we will create a observer, so let's have a observer. So I'm calling the observer as a example, so class example observer will implement observer interface, so we will just mark it as observer by implementing the observer interface, and then we implement the method execute method. So we will just add the method and that's all. Now every time this execute we want to log something or text into the file. So let's inject the logger in the constructor. We have a logger, initialize it, and then we just say this logger info event trigger. That's all we want for now. Now since we have the observer, that won't work out the box, so you have to configure it. To configure this observer, we will go to the etc and then create the events.xml file. So events.xml, and then we will have the events. The event name we will listen to is the controller action pre-dispatch. So controller action pre-dispatch, we got auto completion, which is nice, of PHP Storm, and then the name I'll just say name it global example because this is in a global scope. We will come to the scopes next, and then the instance will be the example, so this class, and that's all we need. Now we need to flush cache, turn to cache flush everything. Now we will, when we reload the page, we should see the log will come into observer example.log. So let's refresh. Now it's refreshed, we should see the log file. So if we go to the var, we have it here. So it's being triggered twice. This is an indication of this event is being dispatched 2 times, and that's why it's being triggered twice. And this is some of the behavior of Magento because it's a very large application, and sometimes it goes beyond control. And since things probably meant to be triggered only once, probably triggered 2 times, or it just being intentional. So it's just like weird to see some of the events like being triggered twice. And this is an indication where you sometimes listen to some events, and these events, it just your execute method or whatever code you put in the observer will be executed 2 times or 3 times. This is because some of the events are just triggered more than once, and since that is a case of some of the events, you probably sometimes just make the code will execute only once and that's it. But anyway, so this is just an example of where some of the events are triggered more than once. Now if you refresh again the same page and then you go here, there is nothing logged. It's just this once and then all disappeared. Probably this one also is being triggered twice because it's being dispatched in the front end scope and in the global scope. Probably, I'm not very sure, but this is just a case. But the second time we refreshed, we didn't have the log. Nothing is logged because the observer is basically never run, didn't execute. So if I refresh again, it doesn't execute. If I go here, it's not executed. Now if I go to somewhere else, say the home page, and then we get it logged, and it's logged once, not 2 times. But anyway, if I refresh the page again, this is not logged again. So it just only logged in the first time and then it just stops. Now you probably want this to execute every time you reload the page or you go to specific area. The reason behind this is because we have the full page cache enabled, and since the full page cache enabled, the next request is just comes from the cache, and this code will never be executed. To prove this, if I just go and disable the full page cache disable, and then full page, and I want to delete this. Now if I just refresh, I should get this is log. If I refresh again on the same page, and this is log. I used the event controller action pre-dispatch on purpose to show you an example of this one, because this one has some of the weird stuff you need to be aware of when you use observers. So this one, when sometimes you create your observer, you need to take into account whether the page is full cached, and when it's full cached, is there any workaround? Probably the event is not triggered the next time the page reload because of the full page cache, or so you need to take all these weird stuff, and you take all these scenarios into account when you're creating a observer. Now we have this observer, and this listens to the pre-dispatch event. So anywhere we go, it will log, and this means it's being executed every time we go to any page in the application or in the website. Now we have this, and then we can go to the admin as well. So if I just copy this and then go to the admin page, so I'm logged in already, but anyway, you get logged in as well. So if I remove the log file and then I go to the admin, and I will see the log file, and also it's being triggered twice. If I go to any page, say for example catalog and then products, then I got this logged in probably. So you have more observers being triggered because you have Ajax, and you have more controllers to be triggered at the same time when you reload page. So you will have many login here and as many execution in the observer. Now we have this observer is being triggered in the front end and the back end. What if you want the observer to be triggered in either back end or front end? To do this is very simple. So you go to the event, then in the etc you will create a front end, and then events.xml, yes, create file, and then you will create events. Probably you just have this, delete that, and then you just have this, and instead of global I will name it front end, and here will be front end, and I will have front end here in the folder, then copy paste, and then I will have front end here, and then event triggered in front end scope, and this will make it as in global scope, and now this is in the front end scope. If I just clear cache, Magento cache flush config, then delete this again. If I refresh here, now once it's refreshed, you will get something in the log saying triggered in the global on the front end, global on front end. So if we just have space here and then reload the page again, you will get this as well. So both events are being triggered, one in the front end and one in the global scope. Now if we go to the admin panel and then we just go to the dashboard, you will get only in the global scope, you don't get the front end scope triggered. So if you want this event to be triggered only when you go in the front end or in the front store, that's fine. You can create, so you can see here all is global, so you can create an observer, you can place it anywhere. This front end is only for demonstration, and then you can place the events inside the front end etc front end folder, and then you put the events in there, so it will run on front end scope only, so it won't run anywhere else, just on the front end. And similar, you can also have this to be run on the admin HTML only, so we can just copy this and paste it. Now we call it admin HTML, and this will be admin, and then I will have a folder here called admin, and copy the example, place it here, and here will be admin, and will be in admin HTML scope. Now if I clear cache again, now if I refresh in the front end, okay, refreshed, but I think we made a mistake in the admin. We need to change the event into admin, because you cannot have two events having the same name. Only one name will be worked out, so will be triggered. So we will flush cache again and refresh again, but at the same time we need to delete the log file. Now refresh, Okay, so once refreshed, we can go and check in the log file. There is only in the global and front end scope being triggered, but if I go to the admin, if I refresh the dashboard in the admin, then we will have global and admin HTML. So this is the way how you run the observer, how you make it executed in the global scope to be executed everywhere in admin, front end, and anywhere, any area, or you can specify the area. You have admin HTML, you have front end, these examples we taken. Now there are many areas. It's not just the admin HTML and front end, there are more to it. So we have web API REST, web API, so we have GraphQL scope. We're not going to take these because these are advanced topics and we probably take them in the future, but for now the most useful and most used ones is the global and admin HTML and front end. And here is an example of doing it with all the weird stuff and quirks, and you can have a better management or better thinking of how you run your observers. Sometimes they're not going to run next time because the page is on full page cache, or sometimes you just want it to run only once when the page reload, but the event is triggered 2 times. So these are the weird stuff, or these are the factors you need to factor them into your account. And when you create a observer, you need to think of these because observers tend to be the most failure points on some of the applications, and they cause a lot of slowness in the website. So here it is, and I hope gives you a better idea about the observers and how you can manage to create observers, and that's all to it. If you like the video, please like and subscribe, and I'll see you in next time.